The Bike Karma Bicycle and Cycling Stories podcast is made possible with the help of listeners like you. Supporters help to pay for the costs associated with the show. To join, either go to patreon.com and search up Bike Karma Podcast, or email bikekarmaguy@gmail.com for more options.
Episode 81.
Hello again, and welcome to another episode of the Bike Karma Bicycle and Cycling Stories podcast. I'm your host, Tom Brown. If it's your first time, this is a collection of bicycle stories and cycling stories from around the world. They're edited, produced, and lovingly curated from a variety of different people. If you're fascinated by bicycles and cycling, then you're in the right place. This time we have a very short soapbox statement, followed by a deep dive into bicycle tire treads and the story behind what tires say. And we also check out a bicycle rodeo. What the heck is that? You have a billion podcasts to listen to, and I really appreciate you coming along with me for a ride on mine. Let's roll out. When I first started the show over 10 years ago, I wanted it to be a positive place for people to make connections. And no matter how strongly I felt about a certain issue going on, my family convinced me that the show should be apolitical, and I agreed. The likelihood of me or anyone changing anyone's mind or elevating the dialogue during a bicycle podcast is remote. But right now, for folks in the United States and the world, it's a difficult time to say the least. So I'm going to keep my promise and still not talk politics here. But I am going to briefly acknowledge the struggles and make a non-political value statement. I try to be a good person. I try to be fair. I try to be honest. I'm against killing and war. I am for transparency, regardless of what it is. From UFOs to black ops, I believe that secrets are bad for the planet and for the people who live there. I believe that individuals and small groups have the capacity to do immeasurable good. I believe that any entity that becomes too big has the capacity to do much evil. I believe that everyone is disappointed with their political leadership because it does not represent the views of the majority of the people. I believe that no one is so special that they should have accumulated the wealth of an entire country. I believe that greed and a lust for power are the biggest threats to peace on earth. And I believe that everyone should be treated with dignity and respect and compassion. And finally, for the terms of this short diatribe, I believe that anger and aggression is always toxic. So while being aware of so many atrocities, conflicts, and wrongs going on, individual humans can connect with each other and make the world a better place. When people get together to raise a barn or to make a meal together, to play music or to ride bikes, we can see ourselves in other people, and that opens the door to compassion. So when we listen to stories and we say, oh, that's funny, that's what I would have done too, or I would have felt the same way had that happened to me. Throughout history and in any genre, stories help us to remember the best parts of our humanity. See, that wasn't too long and it wasn't political. I thank you for your indulgence. And now back to the show. If we combine the words bicycle and rodeo, it might conjure up images of people trying to lasso bikes, wild bikes rolling around, and somebody in a cowboy hat is trying to capture and tame them. Or perhaps there's a particularly difficult to ride bicycle, and here comes some big tough rider with chaps on, gonna jump on that bike and tame it. So Mark, we were talking about the rodeo and how we took all the difficult to ride bikes and you were going to tame them all one at a time in front of the public, and that's what a bike rodeo is, right?
Yeah, after we let the steers out.
So you're going to do 20-inch wheels all the way up to 28s, or we're going to do...
Penny farthing bike.
You got the penny farthings. Those are difficult to break in.
That's a difference.
They're almost feral, some of them. They've gone to the wild.
Custom to the range only.
While that all sounds delightful and may be the case in some communities, what bicycle rodeo usually means is a kids event with all kinds of games and challenges based on riding your bike. Throw in some arts and crafts and some giveaways, and to top it off, maybe have a stunt trials rider jumping over the head of somebody like me from on top of a 10-foot high trailer. All this and more happened at Bike New Britain's last bike rodeo. Bruce Miller, my bicycle sensei. Is this your first rodeo?
No, I've been to the rodeo. I've been to the fair.
For people who don't know, what is a bike rodeo?
Bike rodeo is an event we put on for local kids, usually, up through middle school. Occasionally we get some high schoolers, but here in New Britain, they come in, it's a whole event. There's food, there's entertainment, there's a bouncy house, there's a stunt show. But our big thing is that we give them helmets, we fit them to the helmets, and if they have their own bikes, we do a quick check on them. We have 2 league cycling instructors with a skill course. They're allowed to go out on the skill course. And we have loaner bikes for that as well. And we also have some new bikes that we raffle off. Kids can choose the one they're interested in. They put their ticket in that one. So it's pretty much, it covers everything. We have a little bit of everything, a little bit of bike education, certainly helmet education, repair service, and skills training. So it's an all-in-one.
I heard that if you have a particularly difficult bike to ride, that Mark Hoffman will tame it just like they would at an actual rodeo.
Yes, that is true. That is true. He'll take his lasso and he will throw it over the handlebars and reel it in, and he'll jump on and he'll break it for him.
Yeah. Good. Excellent. Thank you, sir.
You didn't really record that.
Oh, yeah. Hello. Do you guys mind if I ask you a question for the podcast? It's just a quick question.
Oh, sir.
Is this your first rodeo?
This is my second one.
This is your second rodeo?
My second rodeo. I came back.
Okay, so what can people expect?
They expect to get helmets, learn about safety while riding and having fun. They expect a lot of music, a lot of, I believe, raffles. There's a bike raffle right there. 2 years ago, I was here. It was a lot of fun, and I hope that's going to be fun this year as well.
Do you want to give a shout out to your organization?
Yeah. So my name is Daniela Babcock. I work for the New Britain Health Department, so shout out for us, for the nurses who work hard every day to keep the children in New Britain safety and the residents safety and protected. That's what we try in our goal.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey guys, can I ask you a quick question? Is this your first rodeo?
Yes, this is.
Yes. Are you excited?
Yeah, pretty excited.
Yeah, I guess so. All right. What are you anticipating today?
A whole lot of bikes. Same here.
All right. Do you want to give a shout out to your organization?
Shout out to Parks and Recs.
All right. Thanks, guys. I'm walking around and what I see is a obstacle course that's set up with a bunch of pylons and markings and kids trying to go through and weave through the obstacle course. There's a DJ, there's a bunch of tents with all kinds of different stuff. They're decorating helmets in an effort to help personalize them so kids will be more likely to wear them. People doing safety checks and bike helmet fittings, and I join into that for a little while. The police department is gathered around a grill giving out free hot dogs and hamburgers. And I'm continuing to do my dad joke about it being your first rodeo or not.
Is this your first rodeo?
It is not my first rodeo. I've done this 3 or 4 times in the past, yeah.
Awesome. And you're with Bike New Britain too?
I am. I'm Steve Schiller. I am the treasurer of Bike New since its inception. 2016. Yeah. So it's been a while.
It's a wonderful organization, part of that network of nonprofits trying to help people get on bikes and stay healthy.
That's exactly it. I think New Britain has a great need for it. We've done a lot with the on-road stuff. I think now we're trying to develop a culture of safe riding that, hasn't really been the case here in New Britain. We have a lot of, we call them economic riders. People are riding bicycles out of necessity. That's their way to work and to get around. So we're hoping to bring them into the fold as far as being safe riders, predictable for...
It's a big tent.
It is a big tent. We have racers, we have people who are very much interested in biking for the sport, and classic bikes are a good thing if we can work it together, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much. There were all kinds of people from all different sections of the community, adults and kids walking around enjoying bikes and looking at what was on offer. It's a chance to get off the little screens and back with talking to people. And ultimately, the more face-to-face time we have in our communities, the better things will get. So I'm not usually a big fan of other people giving me their religion, and when I was a younger man, I might have done other things, and this time I just took it in the spirit that it was given.
Hi, I'm Matthew. Can I say a prayer for you?
Okay.
Heavenly Father, Lord Jesus Christ. Heavenly
Like I
Mother,
said,
Lord Jesus Christ,
all kinds of people came out of the woodwork this day, and some adults came out who rely on their bikes for transportation. So while the activities were primarily for kids, there was a huge chance for people in the community, especially those who rely on bikes, to get a little bit of help. They weren't doing major repairs, but they were adjusting brakes and lubing chains and doing overall safety checks. If someone looked like they needed a light and they didn't have one, they gave them one. So it really was like a bicycle fair. There were local and state representatives walking around, just seeing how important bicycles and cycling are to a community.
Everyone, I'd like to be on the bike podcast, and I'm here. I lived in New Britain for like 15 years. Hello to everyone. Come out and join and ride with us. Let's go.
How did Bike New Britain hook you up today?
Oh, awesome. They gave me a helmet and adjusted my bike, so it's fun. We're having a good time out here.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anything else you guys want to say about bike rodeos? What you guys have been doing?
I'm waiting to see some people show up right at this point. I think a lot of people didn't know about this event, I think, this year. We've had huge throngs in the past here, but...
We had a hiatus here because of bad weather and no rain dates, so there's a lot that's common knowledge that's been passed on from year to year. I'm not quite sure, but we do think this is a precursor event because New Britain is inaugurating a pilot program for a training program similar to what is operating in South Windsor, and the city's bought into Bike New Britain sponsoring a pilot for the elementary schools, and the idea is that those kids will be our first attempt to bring that safe cycling course to all of the elementary schools in New Britain.
So trying to take care of everything, attacking it from all directions.
Yes, indeed, yes. Our hope is that it becomes a regular feature the way it is in South Windsor, that every year the 5th graders go through this training program that culminates in a supported ride around the neighborhood using proper bicycling protocol on the streets after they've gone through a safety training course and a riding introduction. That's a 4-day program created by Bike Walk Connecticut many years ago in conjunction with South Windsor.
I think it's kind of like popcorn. It's like we're all a bunch of kernels waiting in all these 169 different municipalities inside of our little tiny state.
Right.
And it would be great if we could do it state. Maybe if we get enough popcorns popping, that maybe it'll become a state thing and maybe hopefully national at some point.
That would be, our goal would be to expand, obviously, to bring it to more schools, more districts, and as you said, maybe this is a catalyzing location. Maybe this is an indication to urban schools that they can do such a program and carry it out out effectively and make it safer for their kids to be out on the bikes on the road.
Yeah, and just even to get them to know things like the physics of riding on the right side of the road as opposed to going right into traffic and acting predictably would be a huge win.
And we believe we can approach it as precursor to driving etiquette. If you know what cars are going to do as a bicyclist, then you know what you're going to do as a driver. So this is an education from the lowest level up so that we can create a community of folks who are going to face a world where they're going to have to be more alternative transportation options that they're familiar with, and bicycling being one of the most efficient. So.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Now, if you're lucky, you might have some type of really exciting demonstration near the end as a culminating activity. And for this one, it was Jumpin' Joe Janicki. He is a fire and bike stunt show. He's a juggler too. And he's a trials bike rider, which means he's the guy jumping from this tabletop to that tabletop to the top of the trailer to the truck bed to wherever, all on a bike. He asked for volunteers, and I raised my hand, and so I'm standing against the side of a trailer, and he's on top of the trailer hopping on his bike, and then all of a sudden he just jumps and lands 1 foot in front of me on his bike. It's pretty damn cool, but you don't see that at every single bike rodeo.
And hopefully make it down.
But maybe you should.
Just kidding, I would never do that. But this is going to be a big jump down, so I'm going to need you guys to help me count down. But before we do that, thank you to the New Britain Police for having me out, the town of New Britain. I hope you guys are having a great day. And so let's go. In 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
Whoa!
Bicycle rodeos pop up all over the country, and often they're looking for volunteers to help on the day, but they're also fun events to bring your family to. Thanks to all the folks from Bike New Britain and the town of New Britain for helping to explain. I don't want to lose a single listener because they didn't check their bike before a ride. So our on-running PSA, public service announcement on the Bike Karma Bicycle Stories podcast is the ABC Quick Check. When one of the greatest mechanics in the world wants to do the ABC Quick Check but then changes the letter from ABC to M, you just go ahead and let them.
Hello, Calvin Jones here. I want to do a check with you that some people call the ABC. Okay, can I change this up a little bit? Forget the ABC. Think of the letter M. Let's start at the bottom, right? M. That's your front wheel. Is that skewer tight? Come up the line. The M goes up to the handlebars between your tire. Give it a squeeze. Is there air in it? The M at the top there. Now we're at the bars. That's the peak there. Squeeze the brakes. Wiggle the bars. That's good. The M goes down to the bottom bracket, your cranks. Is your chain oiled, right? Is your crank tight? Is that good? The chain's all lubed? Where does the M go? Up again. We're drawing the letter M to the saddle. Wiggle it. Is it tight? Is it straight? That's great. The M finishes by going down to the rear hub. Is that skewer tight? Oh, hey, you passed the tire. Did you squeeze it? That's your M. But from the hub up, then down, then up, and then down. That is going to save you a check each time. Have a fun ride with Bike Karma. Calvin Jones out.
This time, the mid-roll gratitudes are going to be a little bit shorter than usual, not because we're less grateful, but because I've taken too long to get this episode out, so I better hurry up and get it out. More specifics next time, but thank you to everybody who's liked and followed on any listening station anywhere. Thanks to all the folks who've liked or followed on social media. Thanks to all the folks who contacted me with story ideas. And for the folks waiting in line to have their stories edited and produced. I appreciate your patience. Big shout out to anybody who's asked for the free stickers to share responsibly. You know, not putting them on historic statues, but
putting them on places where there's already stickers present, or sharing them with your riding crew, or asking for a big stack and putting them in the front of your store. If you'd like some stickers free, sent anywhere in the world, you can just email me at bikekarmaguy@gmail.com. That's bikekarmaguy@gmail.com, because we believe in grassroots, honest advertising by word of mouth. And finally, in this very quick gratitudes, just want to thank my small but awesome group of Patreons. For as little as $1 a month and the ability to cancel at any time, you can help to pay for the costs associated with the show. My day job is a science teacher, and it just helps me to pay for the hosting on websites, equipment when I need it, and to do my grassroots marketing with the stickers. If you'd like to check it out, go to patreon.com and just search up Bike Karma. If this is your first episode, welcome, thank you. There's a bunch of different stories from all kinds of genres. Riding a bike with a new heart, being attacked by an elephant while riding your bike. What would a bike look like if you were to ride it on Mars? What's the story behind the Death Fork, and why do people like to ride them? And just about anything you can imagine about bicycles and people. Okay, I said this time was going to be short, so back to the show. When I was a kid, I heard, "No two snowflakes are alike." I never believed it. I'm just playing the odds. Nobody's checked all the snowflakes. And yet, it's repeated over and over again as being true. Can we follow that to fingerprints? No two fingerprints are alike. Has anybody ever checked them all? Not just the ones that exist now, but all the fingerprints that have ever existed. It seems to me impossible that even if it was random, you couldn't get a couple of them to match over so many iterations. Today, people claim that DNA is just as unique, and it very well might be. But I suspect that someday someone's going to realize that however improbable it is, there's a slight, tiny possibility that there could be two of the same. This is all going to get to bikes in a minute. But before it does, the infinite monkeys and typewriters scenario. You may have heard this thought exercise where if you can imagine an infinite number of monkeys with an infinite number of typewriters, that one of them should randomly pluck out any book ever. And I think in the original, it was said that one of them would make Hamlet, one of Shakespeare's plays. If infinite monkeys are typing for an infinite amount of time on an infinite number of typewriters, an infinite number of them would come up with Hamlet. So forget about typewriters. Let's have the monkeys design bicycle tire tread patterns. If we go back to the 1890s, there were at least 50 to 100 different bicycle tire tread patterns. Now imagine all the brands, all the companies, all the years that have gone by since then. Think about the tire treads on bicycles. Sometimes they're little squares. Sometimes they're little paisley-shaped things. There's hookworms. There's even a seashell one. There's chevrons, chains, waffles, cacti, mountains. There's words sometimes. And there's even a shape kind of like a swastika, though it's not, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Now, if we go back towards the end of the 19th century, crimes were being committed by bicycle. They were stealthy, they were quiet, they allowed you to get somewhere and get away quickly. And in many detective stories of the time, a bike would be used in the crime, and immediately the detective would start to analyze the tire tread pattern.
So we're assuming the boy was taken away on horseback, are we not?
Certainly. Otherwise, Heidegger would not have needed a bicycle to pursue them.
But the only tracks we found are cattle herd. Holmes?
Holmes? A track, Watson!
Now, this is not mine, and we're only using a little tiny bit of this. This is from an actual Sherlock Holmes from Arthur Conan Doyle.
A bicycle?
Certainly a bicycle, but not the bicycle. I'm familiar with 42 different impressions of my tires. This is a Dunlop with a patch upon the outer cover. Heidegger's tires were Palmer's. This is not Heidegger's track. Huh?
Who's then?
Who's indeed? Watson. These are Palmer tracks. Heidegger has been this way.
used to teach forensics to kids, I set up a mystery crime scene using 2 different bicycles and their tracks. The kids would go to the crime scene and take plaster castings of those tracks, and then they'd use them to try and solve the mystery. In real life, if you were looking at tracks made by 2 of the same brand of tire, the same model of tire, there would still be minute differences in the impressions made based upon damages to the tire, how old the tire was, tire wear. There might be sediments left from the tire from a previous location in the track itself. If somebody got a puncture, it would be like a scar on the tire that would repeat itself over and over again and could be identifiable to that single bike to have that scar in that exact place. One type of antique tire, in particular, causes an awkward moment to just about anyone who sees them. While many people today would see a hooked cross and immediately associate it with the horrors of Nazi Germany, depending on which way the arms are pointed, and also if it was made before being adopted in 1920 by a man whose name is synonymous with evil, might indicate a different shape sometimes known as the manji, which is extremely old and was used in many different cultures to represent good fortune before Hitler poisoned the shape like the mustache style. Future generations will not remember Charlie Chaplin or Oliver Hardy. It's called a Hitler mustache now. A hooked cross is similarly so taboo in Western culture. Folks don't take the time to check and see which way the arms are pointing, clockwise or counterclockwise. But the shape of the non-Nazi version can be found all over the tire from a 1918 catalog. And yes, as it would roll along, it would leave behind the impression. But innocently back in 1918, this tire pattern was called the Lucky Tire, as the shape, much like a shamrock or other Lucky Charm, was thought in a tongue-in-cheek type of way to ward off flats. So if you consider back in 1918, someone thought that this was a great marketing idea. Putting good luck symbols all over a tire would make it so that it'd be less likely to get flats in the minds of consumers. Every once in a while you see one in an old book or on an antique bicycle, and you do a double take. Of course, anyone in their right mind would never use these tires again, just because of the associations that most people would get from them. But the point is that just about any shape could be a bicycle tire tread pattern. I had a Jamis Earth Cruiser once that had seashells. They were beautiful. Unfortunately, the tires were suffering from dry rot and I couldn't use them anymore, but whimsical scallop-like shells, leaving them behind through the mud as you drove through. There was a mountain bike tire that had cactus and mountains, and while you might think that that's all a little too casual for your liking, it really doesn't matter that much. Let's say you replace that little square shape pattern with an arrow, or a fox head, or a peace sign. Unless you're really focusing on certain performance parameters, that tire is probably going to do okay for most casual biking. In Japanese culture, there's specific personal stamps called jitsu, in, or hanko. Forgive my pronunciation. But you need these little stamps to do any type of business in Japan. Like from signing contracts to banking, you need your little personal, your stamp to leave behind. And it's official. So what if you personalized your tires? What kind of statement would you leave behind? Some creative folks with far too much time on their hands have actually put custom intentional messages on their wheels via their tires to advertise something, or to be witty, or to be whimsical, or to try and get a message out to the people. If there's wet sediment out, your bike is like a rolling printing press. Some folks attach lettering via adhesives or like zip ties. Some even carve a pattern into an existing tire, just like somebody making a rubber stamp by themselves. Then every time they roll through clay or mud or sand that's fine sand that's a little wet, they're leaving behind something that could potentially become a fossil. We find dinosaur tracks 100 million years after they were made. Some of them right here in my town. Imagine future alien archaeologists coming to Earth and digging through layers and coming upon something, wondering who is Sparky and why should he send it? While cheaply made, disposable, big box department store bikes are usually the bane of my existence, they do sometimes have some pretty cool tires on them with little paw prints and butterflies and stuff. Well, isn't that quaint? Some of the more performance-orientated listeners might be thinking, no one on the Tour de France is going to leave behind any messages. Or have they? Some tire manufacturers have put their name on the tire previously, right on the tread, whether it's the company name or the style. Going back to that 1918 catalog, the words challenge and special were certain models of tires. They had that, and they'd repeat the word over and over again. And while it's very unlikely that any bicycle tire would leave an impression in the tarmac, some folks have easily used it like a rubber stamp by applying ink or paint to them. Obviously not during the tour, but perhaps before or after, having a paint roller and rolling it over your back tire as you ride along. Advertising back in the day used to be pretty damn creative. Whether they've taken a minute to think about it or not, just about everyone who's ever ridden a bike for long periods of time does have a preferred tire tread. They may not have said it out loud, they may not have actually consciously thought about it, but even subconsciously, they've been drawn to a certain pattern on their tire. My first really good tires were called Velociraptors, and I can still see the tread pattern in my mind. It was really clever marketing. Combine something I love like dinosaurs with a bicycle tread pattern. It didn't look like dinosaurs, but there you have it. I've worked on so many old bikes, and occasionally a tire just strikes me as something just so cool, historical, like there was one that had a piranha on the sidewall. But it just makes me wonder, I don't think you can estimate how many tire tread patterns there have actually been. I asked some of the friends of the show to share some of their favorite tires and why they liked them so much.
All right, let's see if I can do this in one take in its entirety. This is Joe Doherty, also known as GromDad2000 on Instagram, and I am a BMX racer. So the tires that I prefer are actually from different eras. So there's two different tires that I use, and the reason for it is because I have more of a retro bike that I race sometimes, and that has the older style tire that I used up until my late 20s. So we'll talk about that one first. Those tires are called Tioga Comp 3s. They are a knobby kind of tire, similar to a motocross bike or motocross motorcycle. The reason for that is up until about the 90s, from the early 70s through the, say, mid-90s, tracks were looser in texture in the surface of the track and a little bumpier, and it was helpful to have a little more grip. So tire pressures were a little lower than now, and it was just a better tire for that surface. That was my go-to back then, and still is when I'm just riding for fun and riding something more vintage. The modern day tire, that is for faster, more, I guess, perfect surface type tracks, which have asphalt turns, which we had some of back in the day, but now all tracks have asphalt turns, with the exception of indoor tracks. But anyway, the tires that I use now, there's actually, my favorites there's two different ones. One that I run on the back tire, back of the bike, and a different one on the front. So the one in the rear of the bike is also a Tioga brand, but it's called the Tioga Power Block. And the tire that I run on the front is an Odyssey K-Lite tire, so it's just K-L-Y-T-E. They both have a very similar tire pattern, but they're almost smooth compared to the tires, the Comp 3 tires from back in the day. So the reason for that is the better surfaces. It's actually a glued surface on some tracks nowadays. Those tracks are super fast and like riding on sandpaper, and they're hard as a rock. So those tires make a lot more sense. Less rolling resistance. There's really no need to have the bigger knobbies on there. Anyhow, those are my tire choices, and so hopefully that all makes sense. Any questions, let me know. Thanks.
Thanks, Joe. Joe was on an episode a while back about how BMX bicycles fit into the evolution of modern cycling. So many contributions, styles. They were the cool bike for upstart kids back in the early 80s. And if you're into BMX, check out his podcast, BMX in Our Blood. Thanks, Joe. Next up is an author and my friend Wilson Hoyer, who will talk about his favorite tires from a totally different genre.
Hi, my name is Wilson Hoyer, and I love old bicycles. I've had dozens at this point, ranging from 1932 to 1987, but when I needed to slim down my hoard to one single old bike, I chose an English light roadster with the 3-speed hub, which would be your rally sports, etc. And these are actually just really great bikes as a first classic. They're not the fastest thing, but nice fall day ride where you're not in a hurry to get anywhere. They're hard to beat. They're easy to find, at least in the Northeast United States, and they don't require much. They're not needy, so you pick one up for $100. You lube the cables and bearings. If the thing's been left outside, you maybe put a chain on it. And of course, brake pads and tires. So what kind of tires do you put in an English light roadster? Well, they use a specific size common to them and a few other bikes. It's a 650A, which I believe is a 590 bead seat diameter 26 by 1 3/8 inch tire. There's actually a decent selection still available for them. I think the one that people regard as cream of the crop is the Panaracer Col de Levis, and I have yet to try one, although I've tried several others. My personal favorite happens to be the Michelin World Tour. They're not readily available in the United States. Last time I bought them, I bought 3 sets, and I had them shipped directly from a seller in England. I just really like them for these bikes. The main thing, which is important to me, is they have a nice classic utilitarian tread pattern, which really complements this bike. I mean, these things first appeared in England in the 1930s to take people where they need to go, which often wasn't on paved surfaces. So they're built like tanks. The Michelin World Tour just has that right tread pattern. It's utilitarian, it is quiet and smooth on roads. If you watch your tire pressures, they can actually be comfortable. They're good in the rain. Surprising to some, they're really good off the paved roads. So these tires are decent off-road. You can go on some hard pack with them, even some light to moderate gravel, if that's your thing. And they just work. They come in black wall and white wall. They look good, like I said. So yeah, get yourself a Raleigh Light Roadster and throw some Michelin World Tours on them and ride into the sunset.
And finally, we have Jenny Callista, who you may remember started her own bicycle mechanic school, the Appalachian Bicycle Institute, who tells us her favorite road and mountain tires.
This is Jenny from Appalachian Bicycle Institute, and I want to also mention my favorite road tire, which is just a good old Continental Gator Skin, not the wire bead style, of course. Prefer the folding style for the weight, but never had a flat. Knock on some wood here with those, and of course a little bit of a wider one. Just like the way they feel, like the way they last. Good tread compound, and yeah, I like those. Good old Gator Skins. My favorite mountain bike tire ever, which would be the Specialized S-Works Fast Track. And at first I thought I wasn't going to like it because back in the day, you wanted some more knobbly tires, and I got a new Specialized Era and it came with those, and I thought, well, I'm going to swap those out right away. But I tried them out, and holy moly, fast rolling, great grip because of the compound, and it's been my favorite tire for the mountain bike, especially on the rear. On the front, I kind of dabbled around with some other ones, but nothing too aggressive. Just like those low profile knobs, and the grippy traction just rolls over stuff super great. So not sure if they're still making those. Last time I checked, I didn't find them, but anyway, those are my favorite for the mountain bike.
Thank you, Joe, Wilson, and Jenny. You might have noticed that some of them like different tires on the front and back of their bike. Unlike dinnerware, you can mix and match, kind of like Garanimals. Some treads make more sense for the back, some make more sense for the front. And though in a pinch, I ran a rear tire on the front and a front tire on the rear once, and I survived. Even a totally bald tire can be good. It's called a slick, and some people prefer them. There's even a pattern to it, but the pattern is the profile. They can be squared, rounded, arched, bulbous arches, all when seen in cross-section. But as we wrap it up for this segment, I want you to consider this. For all those folks who think of bicycles as a science and for there to be a best answer for everything, there is no optimal tire. What you can't see is I'm pretending to drop a mic right now, just for emphasis. Perhaps on a velodrome or somewhere where the surface that you're on is very, very, very consistent, like the exact same for mile after mile after mile. For that situation, I think only you could find the optimal tire tread pattern. And remember, the tread is just the pattern on the tire, the compound, the type of material that it's made out of, how soft, how grippy, how hard it is, how much you inflate it. Those are all other factors to consider for some other day. But my point is, don't get too hung up on trying to find the perfect tire for conditions, because on just about any bike ride I've ever taken, the conditions are variable. If you get your LiDAR scanner and go over a 1 mile section, or maybe even just a half a mile of trail or road, and you scan it with pinpoint precision, and then you have your own team of engineers come up with the most perfect tires for those conditions, as soon as they hit something a little bit different, they're going to be less than optimal. The exact same segment with just a little bit of water on it is entirely different. So I guess what I'm saying is, don't worry about getting your tires perfect unless you're in the Tour de France or you've got compulsions that you need to address, in which case go for it. For the rest of us, there are so many good tires out there now. It is quite simply one of the easiest upgrades to make to your bicycle. In my entire time of working on bikes, I only had one bike tire that was horrible at everything, and it was and I would never buy them again. But since they don't make them anymore, no big deal. And if you start seeing messages in the sediments on your favorite gravel route, or you see Happy Halloween written in hopefully water-soluble paint on the sidewalk over and over again by a bicycle riding by, please don't blame me. But if you're awkward in social situations and you need an icebreaker, you're with a bunch of cyclists, just turn to the person next to you and say, "Hey, what's your favorite kind of tire?" Thanks very much for coming along with me for a ride on another episode of the Bike Karma Bicycle and Cycling Stories podcast. A big thank you to Keller Glass and his band Mobjack for the opening and closing theme music, which we use with permission. Thank you very much. Go check out and see what he's up to at kellerglassmusic.com. I promise the next episode will not take so long to come out. I hope you found this one at least kind of worth the wait. You can check on social media to see some of the stuff that might be upcoming. With the exception of the music and that brief Sherlock Holmes soundbite, all of which we are thankful for and take no credit for, the rest of the content on the show is the intellectual property of Thomas Brown. All rights, including copyrights and trademarks, are reserved and asserted. Artificial intelligence is not allowed to learn from me unless you take me out to dinner first. If you have any thoughts, comments, suggestions, perhaps you have a product or business that might be a good fit for the show, you can contact me at bikekarmaguy@gmail.com or DM me on any of the social media. Same goes for if you want a sticker pack, send it free anywhere in the world, just some cool stickers to share responsibly. I hope you are surviving, maybe thriving, and either way, I wish you well. I'll be back again with another episode before the end of this summer. Until then, keep it wheel.
I could send a message on the wire, or take a phone and throw it in the fire, and I could take my time and cut it down, but I'd